Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm vengeance.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com, but you can also follow us on social media. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. If you love the show, you want to help support the show, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. On the last episode, one of our patrons upped his pledge, and I gave him a shout out, Lee Ankeret, and he's like, dude, you don't have to give me a shout out. I just did it to be supportive. And he's like, I don't want people to feel bad. And I'm like, guess what? You were nice and did something nice. I'm giving you a shout out, and now I'm giving you a second shout out just because you asked me not to give you a shout out. So, how you like them apples? I've also got to give another shout out to Chris Salica. Chris Salica also upped his pledge, and he actually sent me a message, and he said it was a way to say thank you for the holiday episodes of Real Fans, which is so awesome. I love that. So Chris, thank you. Lee, thank you again. Every patron, thank you. You guys are awesome. We certainly appreciate it. All the shows that are part of the network you can find at rf4rm.com, including those holiday episodes of the Real Fans show. Most recently, we just put out the Thanksgiving episode. So if you're getting in the mood for some turkey and some turkey viewing, go check that out too. Again, that's rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. This episode, we're going to talk about a little bit of news, a little bit of Justice League, a little bit of Wonder Woman 1984. We're going to review the next episode of Batman Beyond because it is a classic. And then we're going to finally catch up on all your emails in the Wayne Manor mailbox. Joining me for all that fun, we love him. He's out there. It's his Friday night. He's dedicating it to us. It is Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
How are you, my friend? It's the first time it's just been you and I for a while.
I know. Well, you know, it's fun to invite a third, but then it's nice to get back to just the two of us.
It is. You know, you just to spice things up a bit.
You do what you got to do, man. We've known each other a long time, so.
Got to keep it fresh.
Got to keep it fresh, whatever it takes. Well, welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much.
While the ladies are away, we will podcast.
Oh, are you flying solo too tonight?
I am. So
there you go.
Look at that.
Yeah. Batching for the night together.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, we got some stuff to talk about. On the last episode, we got so wrapped up in Three Jokers that we never got to emails. And I was like, well, we got to do emails. We can do Batman Beyond and emails. But of course, other news pops up, and it's all worth discussing. So one of the things we mentioned is they were going to relaunch the Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer on the 17th, and we're like, oh, what's that going to be? Is there going to be additional news? Is there going to be additional footage? Is it going to be a new trailer? I felt like it was kind of much ado about nothing. It was mostly the same trailer with a couple new shots, a black and white version and a color version, a lot of the same stuff, same song, but a couple little new shots in there. But I felt like most of those new shots were stuff we had still seen versions of before.
Yeah.
So
I'd agree with that.
Nothing earth-shattering, but cool nonetheless. Cool that it's back out there. Again, always nice to get new glimpses of stuff, but yeah, not anything that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they showed that. It was just kind of like, oh, cool. For me, the highlight was the new shot of the Superman hologram. I thought that was pretty cool.
Ditto. Yeah, that was my favorite. And there was that extra shot of Darkseid, which was kind of badass. But yeah, it was that hologram shot that was really cool.
You know what's so funny is that Darkseid shot. I've seen so many versions of that shot. Like there was a Steppenwolf version, and then there was the opening shot from the last trailer with Darkseid that's kind of similar in composition that I didn't even realize it was a new shot.
Yeah, I can see why you'd make that mistake. Those Us United pics have been kind of cool as well. I do like that they've sort of embraced that, like, as a hashtag, the Us United.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, yeah, some photos, again, kind of a new version of the trailer. I know he did the breakdown on Vero. It probably happened while I was asleep in China. I didn't really see any reporting around anything he said in that, so it doesn't seem like there was anything really news. Yeah, like, was there anything really newsworthy that came out of that?
No, because normally, I don't mean this in a negative way, but like Zack Snyder farts and it's all over the internet. So I haven't had a chance to watch the recording of that yet. I'm sure I will. But there's nothing that I've heard, because if he'd said anything, it would have been all over the internet within minutes. So
yeah, exactly. So I figured if it was big news, I would have heard about it. But it seems like maybe nothing big came out of that. But before we started recording, you did mention that Deathstroke. We got a new photo of him. Joe Manganiello tweeted out a photo of that. So that was kind of cool too.
It looks good. To me, it doesn't look like Joe Manganiello. Oh, really? I mean, I don't know. It's just sort of maybe the black and whiteness. I don't know. It just. I mean, compared to what he looked, don't send emails and don't shoot me here, but like compared to what he looked like in the theatrical version at the end of the movie where he takes the helmet off and everything, that looked more like Deathstroke than this black and white image does. But in saying that, the black and white image I still think looks awesome, and I can't wait to see his involvement in the movie where that's going to go. I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I still don't really expect he will have a big part in the movie, but we'll see. But still, any little tidbit is exciting. That's cool, and continues to whet our appetite. It's nice that the work keeps happening. I just want to see the darn thing now. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at. So that was cool. Again, nothing super earth shattering, except for when Darkseid smashes into the earth and it shatters. That's the earth-shattering part of the trailer, but other than that, not really. Oh God, there was something else. Oh, that was it. The new trailer for Batman: Soul of the Dragon. So this is that 70s set Batman animated film that includes a lot of other characters. So we finally got a trailer for that, which it's coming out in January. So yeah, what was your take on our first glimpse of Soul of the Dragon? Well, not our first trailer of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've never really been into the 70s kung fu movies. They've just never really been my thing. That have really appealed to me. But it's a Bruce Timm story, so he normally does work that I like. The animation looks really good. I do like the style of the trailer, how they have really embraced sort of the 70s-ness, if that's a word, of it, with the logos and stuff. That was really cool. The voices sound really good. And I mean, it's not. I'm just trying to think what it was. Was it a Batman project or something in the last sort of couple of years where it's like it's not what I'd ask for?
Batman Ninja?
Maybe, no. But it's not something I'd ask for, but it looks like something I'd enjoy. So I'm keen to see it and give it a go and get the Blu-ray and add it to my collection.
Guess who's doing a voice in it?
Who?
Our pal Eric Bauza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually haven't looked at the voice cast. Who's he playing?
It does not say, but he is on the cast list.
Okay, well.
So we will see.
Who knows? Who knows when it comes out? We might be able to get him back on.
Yeah. So yeah, folks listening, if you did not check out our interview with Eric Bauza, check that out. It was from the spring. It was really fun, and he was a hoot. So I think you guys will enjoy it. So I mean, I think that I agree with you. Like, it looks interesting, but to me it looks like Bruce Timm and team were like, man, we really want to make like a 70s kung fu blaxploitation animated movie. And WB was like, okay, but people still have to buy it, so you'd better put Batman in it.
Yeah, kind of.
Because it doesn't really feel or look like a Batman movie. It feels like it wants to be the other thing, and they threw in Batman just so they'd have a way to market it. Because, yeah, I'm not seeing much of Batman's world in the trailer. It seems far more interested in everyone else. So, yeah, Batman teams up with Richard Dragon, Bronze Tiger, and Lady Shiva, and that's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun random assortment of characters. And I do like that they're really leaning into the 70s era, like you said, graphics and style and everything. I think that's neat. It's just not, it doesn't seem very Batman focused. Like, it doesn't really seem like it takes place in Gotham. It doesn't seem like there any of the Batman Rogues Gallery around. It doesn't seem like even Alfred is around. It just feels like they're using Batman as a device to really just make a movie about these other characters. And maybe it'll be great and fun and exciting. But yeah, I guess for me, I was just like, oh, I'm just not getting enough Batman vibes from this Batman trailer. And it's also interesting that it is another one that is going to be rated R.
Yeah, and the actor playing, voicing Batman in IMDb is actually listed as Bruce Wayne. He's not even listed as Batman.
Yeah. And his name is David Giuntoli.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce his surname, so I didn't try. Cause
I don't know if I said it right,
But it is funny to see Michael Jai White. Like, he is just Bronze Tiger now. Like, I think he's played him in Arrow, he's voiced him in a few things. Like, he is Bronze Tiger.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this guy, David Giuntoli, who is Batman, he was on Grimm.
He was from Grimm, yeah.
Yeah, which I never watched, but I had no idea it was on for 6 seasons. So, wow. There you go.
Yeah. No, I'm keen to, see what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I appreciate how random and different it is. I think that's cool. Maybe I'll love it. Like you, I certainly enjoy a certain level of 70s nostalgia, but I was not born or just born in the 70s, so it's not quite the same for me. But I appreciate, again, I like when they do something different. The cover art is awesome. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, the cover art's awesome.
It's really cool. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to check it out. I'm intrigued by it, but it's just not something I'm super, super excited because to me, yeah, it just feels very light on the Batman and very heavy on everything else.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see that in January, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But I always do applaud them when they take a chance like that, and they're given the leeway to take a chance like that and do something different. So I want to support them, and I hope it pays off. So
likewise,
yeah, we'll be seeing that at home in January. But we finally got confirmation that we're going to be seeing something else, maybe at home, depending on where you live, in December.
We sure did.
So our long global nightmare has finally come to an end. We finally know when we're going to be able to watch Wonder Woman 1984. It's going to happen eventually. They're going to figure out something to do, and they delayed it and delayed it and delayed it because they really wanted it out in theaters, but they finally bit the bullet. And so, was that today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday they finally announced that indeed they are sticking with the Christmas release date for Wonder Woman 1984, but because theaters are not open around the world, they are going to release it simultaneously on HBO Max at no additional charge. So if you are in a country or a place where theaters are open, it'll be in theaters. If you are in the United States, it will also be available on HBO Max. So I don't know what that means. I have to assume there are countries that have neither.
Well, Europe,
yeah,
as a whole, don't have HBO Max, and they're going through their really bad second wave at the moment. With I think London's still in lockdown, and there's huge parts of that continent that are in lockdown. So I don't know how that's going to work. We don't have HBO Max here in Australia, but we have kind of equivalents Like I think I've mentioned on this show before, we have a big streamer over here called Stan.
Yeah.
And another one called Binge. And Binge, I thought it was going to be our version of HBO Max because it launched at the same time. It has the same color scheme as HBO Max, and HBO is tied to pay TV over here, which is Foxtel. And Binge is owned by Fox, and Foxtel. So I sort of thought it was going to be one and the same, but it's kind of not. I've noticed the HBO shows, the HBO Max shows are kind of being split between Stan and Binge over here. Like the Anna Kendrick show was at Love Life, that was sort of the big thing when it was like at launch for HBO Max. Like it streamed on Stan over here at the same time as HBO Max. Yeah, a lot of other things like Lovecraft Country and Watchmen and things like that, they've all gone to Binge. So yeah, I don't know what it's like in Europe and everything, if they've kind of got the equivalent like we do, or you know, streamers that obviously have the rights to certain things. So I hope so, because I mean, I'm in a position obviously where if things don't change, I'll be going to see it in the cinema on opening day, which will be Boxing Day here in Australia, the 26th. I believe where you are, you'll be in a position where you can go and see it in a cinema as well. But I mean, yeah, we're lucky in the way that, I mean, you've got HBO Max because of, you know, you had it anyway, but I don't need it, so that side of things doesn't bother me. I will say the thing that's going to be hard is the temptation of, because obviously it's going to hit the internet. Like there's just, you can't avoid that. It's going to happen. The temptation for me is going to be going to see it in the cinema, obviously, but then not downloading it as soon as I come home to watch it again. Like, I do actually want to treat it as just a cinematic release, forget that it's on the internet, and do what I'd normally do in this sort of situation and go see it in the cinema at least 3 to 4 times.
Right. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, so yeah, like for Europe, that's a weird spot, because yeah, they're kind of screwed either way, right?
Well, yeah, potentially, yeah. I mean, look, if listeners out there, let us know. Like, I don't know. I mean, you've heard the situation here in Australia with streamers. I don't know what you guys have got over there. So.
Well, I got a tweet from one of the listeners, because I tweeted this out after it was announced, being like, listen, like I know that it's not ideal, but it makes sense at this point, and I can't wait to see it. And they were like, well, what about the UK where theaters aren't open yet? And that implies that they also don't have HBO Max.
Yeah, they don't.
So for them, yeah, like, I guess that sucks for them. So I think, well, let me give you some additional info, and then we can talk more about it. So Patty Jenkins did release her statement, and here's what she said. She said, "The time has come. At some point, you've got to choose to share any love and joy you have to give over anything else. We truly hope that our film brings a little bit of joy and reprieve to all of you this holiday season. Watch it in theaters where it was made to do so. Check out the great work theaters have done to make it so. And available in the safety of your home on HBO Max where it is not. Happy holidays to all of you. We hope you enjoy our film as much as we enjoyed making it." And then Gal Gadot, she said something similar. She said, "It's time. We've all waited a long time for this one to come. I can't tell you how excited I am for all of you to see this movie. It wasn't an easy decision, and we never thought we'd have to hold on to the release for such a long time, but COVID rocked all of our worlds. We feel the movie has never been so relevant, and we hope that it'll bring some joy, hope, and love to your hearts. Wonder Woman 1984 is a special one for me, and I can only hope it'll be as special to you too. We've put our hearts and souls into it." So you can watch it in theaters. They're doing an amazing job keeping it safe, and you can watch it on HBO Max from your homes. Sending you my love. Please keep safe. Wear a mask. Happy holidays to all. Let the light shine in. A couple additional details. So So apparently the film will release, at least for the United States, will release in movie theaters and on HBO Max for no additional charge on December 25th. It will only be on HBO Max for 30 days. After that, it will be off HBO Max and will only be in theaters for another 30 days. And then,
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, and then after that, it will be made available for purchase. How long it will stay in theaters is up in the air, but Patty Jenkins says, we've got plans to hold it in theaters for quite a long time, and hopefully long enough that it will still be there when theaters all over the world are open.
This is a question I don't know if you have the answer to, but when it says, in theaters in America and everything, is that including drive-ins?
Yeah, I would think so.
I would hope so, because, that's still going to give people the opportunity, being pandemic safe, to go and see it on a big screen.
Right, absolutely. Yeah,
and give money.
Drive-ins have experienced a resurgence in the States because of COVID.
Because it just didn't specify, but I was hoping that it would include
I would think
drive-ins.
so, yeah. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
And then Patty Jenkins continued, and she said, we're also working on a program which would allow you, your cohorts, your family, and your pod to rent their own theaters to screen the film in the safety of your group. We will try to help to bring it to as many of you as we can, and thank you for all your support. You are great fans. And then apparently there are places outside of the United States where it will be theatrical only, but it will open on December 16th instead of the 25th, which I'm sure is a way to help with that piracy issue where if it's theatrical only, once it's on HBO Max, you're right, the cat will be out of the bag. So at least this way they will have 9 days of theatrical only overseas. So maybe I'll be seeing it on December 16th here in China.
Well, yeah, maybe I could. I mean, I just took it as that because it was away, when they had that last release date change, which was the 5th, I think. It moved to because it was obviously Christmas Day in America, which is the 26th here in Australia, which Boxing Day is always a big movie release day here in Australia. Like that's when Aquaman was released, and all of the Lord of the Rings movies were always released on Boxing Day over here. Like it's a big event movie release day. We actually, a lot of the movies you guys get for Thanksgiving, they hold off here and release on Boxing Day in Australia. Like usually if there's a Disney or a Pixar that comes out at Thanksgiving, we get it on the 26th of December. They hold it for that day. So I just assumed it was still going to be Boxing Day, but you're right, it would kind of make sense to move it up that little bit for theatrical only. Mm-hmm. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, if I get to see it sooner, awesome. I'd go see it again on Boxing Day anyway, because I'll be up in my hometown with my family, and I know my mum would want to see it and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd make a day of it on the 26th anyway. But look, as soon as it hits cinemas, I'm obviously going to go and see it. But I am surprised that they are doing it for no extra charge. Like honestly, like to try and because you'd think they'd want to try and recoup the cost, but I do understand from things that I've read too, like they're wanting to drive subscriptions.
Yeah.
To HBO Max, which I don't think subscriptions were such a problem for Disney Plus, which is why they charged the extra for Mulan. But I don't know, like it just, to me, it seems like I would have thought if they were going to do it, it would be HBO Max with a bit of an extra fee, or, it just goes to your VOD outlets and you pay a bit more for it, like $50-$60 or something like that to be able to own it.
Well,
day and date.
I have theories, and who knows what's true. But I do feel like everybody was watching what happened with Mulan, and I think enough people paid for Mulan, but there was also a lot of bad press about people having to pay for Mulan. Like, Disney kind of took a hit of people being like, wait, $30? Are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not paying. I'm already paying for your subscription. I'm not paying an extra $30 for Mulan. And enough people did suck it up and do it because they're at home and they've got kids. But there were like wildly different reports as to how much it actually made. And I don't think we ever got a straight answer on how much Mulan actually made. And so because no one has followed in those footsteps since Mulan, I've got to imagine that everybody watched it and went, it's not worth it to get that bad press to make that amount of money. And so...
See, it's funny, because Mulan was something that I was never gonna go and see in the cinema.
Right.
So I wasn't going to pay to watch it on Disney Plus. I mean, we already have Disney Plus, but if it had just been free to watch as part of the subscription, yeah, we would have watched it. But if it had have been, look, honestly, even Black Widow, I would have paid the extra for the privilege to be able to watch it at home. I don't have a problem with them charging the extra, because, I mean, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber and Mulan came out in cinemas, you'd be paying $30+ to go and see it in a cinema anyway, and you've still got your Disney Plus subscription at home. Like, they still need to recoup the costs of these movies that they're putting out. So I don't have a problem I never had a problem with Disney charging the extra for it. It's just that it was a movie I wasn't going to go see in the theaters anyway, so that's why I didn't pay it. But
yeah, I mean, I actually completely agree with you. I was on the side of being like, $30 ain't that bad, especially if you got 2 people or 3 people watching it. Like, it's not that bad. Like, but like you, I'm like, I just don't care enough about another version of Mulan that I'm going to pay it. But I didn't think it was I don't think the price was out of the question. So I was actually a little surprised it received the backlash it did, but it did. So whether I agreed with it or not, it existed. And I saw people pretty split on it. I saw people go, listen, I got a family at home. You divvy it up for $30. Like, yeah, we paid $7.50 a person or whatever, and it's fine. And then I saw people being like, no, hell no. $30, who do you think you are? I'll just wait. And so there was just a certain amount of backlash because of it. I agree with you. Like, I would have paid $30 in a moment for Wonder Woman. I probably wouldn't have paid $30 for Black Widow. But yeah, depending on the movie, I would be willing to pay that if the movie was something I was truly interested in. But the fact that even Disney is not repeating it with Soul, which is the new Pixar film that's also coming out on Christmas, the fact that Disney's going, well, we're just going to give you that one, means that the Mulan gamble was not worth it for whatever reason they decided. And then Disney Plus, yes, number one, they're worldwide, but they have, I think, 78 million subscribers or something because they're worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah. Makes a difference.
Doing a quick Google search, HBO Max has like 28 million subscribers, but they are not worldwide yet. So, like, it's not quite apples to apples, but because of things like The Mandalorian, or even when they put Onward on there, or Mulan, because it didn't take long for them to put Mulan on anyway, right? Because of those things, like, every time they do something like that, you get a spike in subscribers. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, HBO Max did not launch with a must-see event piece of content, whether it be a movie or a TV show, that made people go, oh, well, I've got to subscribe now because I don't want to miss out on blank. They didn't have that. They just launched the service and being like, oh, but it's got all this stuff you already love. That wasn't enough. There needed to be something hot and buzzworthy.
Like Friends was their big push.
Yeah, like it was like we have all the Friends in South Park, and it's like, great, but that's not, that's not enough. And I say that as someone, I'm like, HBO Max, the selection is fantastic. It really is. But you don't know that unless you subscribe. So that's the key, is you've got to get people to subscribe. And then as soon as they do, they're like, oh crap, there's so much stuff on here, because there really is. Like, I go on there and I scroll and I'm like, holy crap, this is on here. This is on here. This movie's on here. This show is on here. There is a huge amount of great content on HBO Max. I don't think they did a good job of letting people know that. And they didn't launch it with a must-see buzzworthy show or movie that made you go, oh crap, like, well, now I got to subscribe to that. And so people were slow adopters on HBO Max. And so for that reason, I totally understand what they're doing. Number one, you can't hold on to this movie forever. And I it's funny because I'm still seeing people debate this online. there's still people going, stupid move. You should have held it. You should have held it. You should have waited. How long are you going to wait? If you're going to wait until life is, quote, back to normal, you're waiting at least another year.
Yep.
That's how long it's going to take for the states to, quote unquote, get back to normal. I was reading something today about my industry, about theme parks, because theme parks in California still aren't open. And now they're estimating the earliest they'll open is next summer of 21. So, like, at a certain point,
we still don't know. Like, I mean, that's a positive outlook, but that could change. Like, we still don't know.
And that's a best guess, right? So, what's funny is I'm seeing all these armchair analysts, including me, going, you should have waited, or you did the right thing, or whatever. And like, you know, the one I'm seeing the most of, you just threw away $1 billion hit. Well, guess what? Like, guess how much it's making right now while they're sitting on it? $0. Yep. Guess how much income they're getting right now? $0. And so you're going to wait another whole year? Like, yes, it would have been $1 billion hit if the world didn't get turned completely upside down almost a year ago. We're almost a year from when COVID rocked our worlds. Mm-hmm. Normal got thrown out the window. And if you're going to wait for normal, you're going to wait forever. So at a certain point, you got to have a very real conversation about, like, okay, well, what do we do? We've put it off a year already. Do we just keep putting it off? Or do we find a way to get it to the most amount of people in the best way, in the most profitable way possible? Of course it's not ideal. It's not the way anyone wanted to do it. It's not the way WB wanted to do it. It's not the way Patty Jenkins wanted to do it. It's not the way we wanted to see it. But at a certain point, the world is not normal. Would I rather see it, and to Patty Jenkins' point, get a little bit of joy into my life by seeing a new Wonder Woman movie? Hell yeah, I would. And the fact that they're going to do it theatrically, make what they can theatrically, and then put it on HBO Max, which has a solid base of subscribers, but it's not what Disney Plus is, to be able to get something this high profile on HBO Max, it's going to spike your subscribers. And then and
keep them.
And to what I just said, as soon as they get on there, they're going to go, oh crap, look at all this good stuff. I had no idea. And sure, they're not going to, retain 100% of them, but they're going to retain a huge chunk of them. Like, let's just say on the low end, 5 million people go, oh, I want to see Wonder Woman 1984, and I can watch it for $15 if I subscribe to HBO Max. $15. That's half the price of Mulan. Let's say 5 million people do that. Well, that's a $75 million opening weekend right there. Mm-hmm. Let's say 10 million people do it. That's a $150 million opening weekend right there. And then let's say that 10 million people, let's say they stick around for 3 months. Well, guess what? You just made $450 million on your subscription service. So It's not a bad business decision. It's not the same as it would have been if you'd have just put it in theaters and made $1 billion. But guess what? That ship sailed last January.
Yeah. The other thing is, too, that you and I kind of briefly touched on before we started recording is, I mean, just say for argument's sake, next summer, so, mid 2021 is when things start to somewhat get back to, normal in inverted commas. So the thing is, you've got all these movies that have been pushed back. They're kind of like, planes circling a runway. Just, when things become clear, they can't all land at once because they'll crash. So, I mean, even when things get back to normal, they still need to space out releases. I mean, you think about it, this is just off the top of my head. You've got A Quiet Place 2, Wonder Woman obviously was one of them, Ghostbusters, Black Widow, James Bond, Halloween, I'm probably missing a few others there, but that's just off the top of my head. So that's 5 big blockbuster movies. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they can't all land at the same time. Like, we were saying too, like, a movie has a cinema life of at least 2.5 to 3 months these days. Mm-hmm. Like, I know Aquaman was released late December. I saw it for my final time in the cinema in mid-February. It's even if, when things get back to normal, it could still be months and months and months before one of these movies gets released, because they need to give the others breathing room. Otherwise, they'll just overcrowd the market. Not to mention, they're still making movies that they're slating release dates for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, something for the next 12 months or more, something has to change. And I do not want cinema to die. I'm not, like I know Jamie has said, look, if he is happy if things go day and date for VOD, he'll pay for them. And that's, I get it. I get where he's coming from. It's his prerogative, and I have no arguments with that. But I am in, I think, the majority of people where I don't want the cinematic experience to die. I will be going. I saw a movie with my friend last Saturday. It was great. Had a great time. I never, ever, ever want that to die. And I don't think it will. I think when things improve and there's the vaccine and stuff, like, people will eventually, they'll miss it. So they'll go back out. They will. But until that happens, they need to, like, as you said, you can't hold it forever. At the moment, these movies are making nothing. They're just sitting there collecting dust. And you've got people in our position who can go to the cinema and are crying out for new content to watch. And then there's the other side of things where people are stuck at home with nothing to do, feeling like shit, and they've got nothing but time on their hands. So, yeah, the studios really need to change for the next 12 to 18 months. We need to understand that and adapt to it. And, all going well, the time will come when we can go to a cinema again and it be packed and make these movies not just a cinematic experience, but an event.
Yeah.
And it will happen again. We just need to take time and be patient and sort of adapt to the new norm, which I think if Wonder Woman, if it is it's got a lot of buzz the last 24, 48 hours since they've announced it. I would like to see some of the other studios follow suit. And I mean, Bond is another one. Like, I really hope they follow with what Warner Brothers does here with Wonder Woman and give it to the world, because, people deserve to be able to see these movies, whether it's in the cinema or at home. They need the entertainment. They need the relief. And cinema, as always, is going to be the escape, hopefully, that, can provide that to us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and here's the other piece of that is that, so, theaters have been open for months now here in China. I haven't gone. And I've
been twice since February.
Yeah, and I haven't gone for a number of reasons, but, like, I mean, yes, I'm very, very busy working. Yes, what they're showing, like, they're showing a lot of somewhat older movies that I've already seen or that I'm not particularly interested in. But they showed Tenet and I didn't go. And because there is still that little bit of, like, trepidation of, like, do I rush back out to the theater, So Wonder Woman 1984 will be the first movie to be released where I'm like, oh, I don't care, I'm going to the theater. And it is safe here and there's been no incidents, so it's not even that. But, like, I've gotten so used to not going that it's taken me a while to go, oh yeah, I forgot I can go back to the movies now. So even when things get safe, in the United States or whatever, I still think there is going to be a lag where people, it's going to take them time to get comfortable to rush back to the cinemas. So
yeah, particularly with what they're facing. I mean, in my state at the moment, we had a huge football match here on Wednesday night that was the first, because our cinemas are not only open, as of Tuesday evening, they can be full capacity. Like, we haven't had any community transmission in my state for ages. And I think there's only 6 active cases, and they're all from people that have returned overseas and they're quarantining anyway. So yeah, we had a football match here the other night it was allowed to be a full capacity stadium. There was 54,000 people in there. And it's so weird that feels weird. Like, watching on TV, we were all just in awe. Like, it was in my hometown too. Like, we were just going, holy shit, like, this feels so weird seeing this, but we're in a position where, thankfully, and touch wood, we're able to do it. We're able to continue doing it. So, when the time comes that I go and see Wonder Woman, not only will I be seeing it in a theater, it'll probably be pretty freaking full.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand wanting the rollout to have been the way we all envisioned it and the way it was supposed to be, but also how many people have we talked to, ourselves included, that are like, I'm not as excited. It's been too long now. Yeah. And
look, I'll get excited come to, mid-December. I'll start getting pumped for it. But that's the problem. With Wonder Woman and Bond, I've been excited 2 or 3 times now. Mm-hmm. And then each time it gets taken away. So even hearing the news yesterday, I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I haven't gotten excited yet because I'm so scared that something's going to happen and we'll lose it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing, is sort of this, like, this dampening of the excitement because it's been so long. How long do you wait on that? Like, if you wait another year, is that excitement going to come back up? So I understand why they made the tough call. I totally get it. In this current situation, worldwide, what's happening in countries around the world, I do feel like this was probably the best decision for now. And yeah, I'll tell you, like, I saw a lot of excitement about it yesterday, of people being like, all right, Merry Christmas, I got my Christmas plans all set. Like, and that's great. It's great to see a little bit of excitement, a little bit of positivity about it. So yeah, like, of course it's not the way it should have gone down, but I mean, add it to the list of things that should have gone better over the past year. But I can't wait to see it on Christmas. Again, I completely understand the decision. I will happily support it in theaters here. If you guys are out there and if you're in a place where you can safely go to a theater, I would say do the same. But it's nice that there is an option for people who can't do it safely. And hopefully it will, help HBO Max, because, as I said earlier, HBO Max is really great. And this is a great way to get more people to sample it and take advantage of it. So to me, it makes a lot of sense from all angles.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Wonder Woman 1984, Christmas, Merry Christmas, guys.
I'll just finish watching my 3rd viewing of Santa Claus the movie, and I'll take a nice cold Coke to the cinema and sit back and and watch Wonder Woman as well.
Yep, Wonder Woman's coming home for Christmas. Yeah, I know what you mean. I do miss movie theater popcorn, my nice frosty cherry Coke. I miss it. It's been far too long.
Yeah. And look, Tenet was one of the movies I did go and see, and it was one I wasn't that fussed about going to see in the cinema, but that was a case of, like, I haven't been in the cinema since February. I'm going to see this damn movie because I want to go. But, it was me and my friend Maddie. We were in a massive theater with maybe 8 other people. And then when we saw Freaky last Saturday, similar thing. There was maybe, 10 or 12 people in the theater. We still had a great time. But yeah, now that the restrictions have been lifted here, it's going to be interesting to see how soon people go back. But there's not really any movies there to pull people back at the moment. So hopefully, I mean, Wonder Woman, yeah, it's going to be massive. Let's just hope that things can stay the way that they are here and people can go.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, that's our take on it. We finally get to see Wonder Woman 1984 in just over a month.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, then I get excited, where I go, oh, just over a month. Yeah, a month and 5 days. That's awesome. So, all right, very cool. Well, we have that to look forward to for Christmas, but we gave a little Christmas present to Brendan early because we did watch another episode of Batman Beyond. And this Christmas, you get an Eggbaby. And you get an Eggbaby. And you get an Eggbaby. So yeah, let's do it. We promised it last time. It is time to review the next episode of Batman Beyond. Last time we talked about Sneak Peek that featured Brendan's favorite Batman villain, Ian Peek. Now, we're moving forward. This is Season 2, Episode 19, The Eggbaby, an infamous episode of Batman Beyond. This one was directed by James Tucker. It was his first time directing. Story by Hilary J. Bader and Alan Burnett. And this one aired on April 1st of 2000. So, and as Jay Yaws pointed out on the last episode, it indeed won an Emmy. So, James Tucker's first time as director, and it wins an Emmy. Well done. So, it's almost like an old sitcom staple. And it is true, like it happens in school, but there's always the time in school, at least in the United States. You'll have to tell me if it's a thing in Australia where usually as part of like health class, you're given an egg or something to take care of and treat it like a baby. Like egg was very common for us, but I feel like a bag of sugar or a bag of flour also got used on occasion. And I think nowadays they have like these very high-tech baby dolls that like cry and you have to feed them and stuff like that. But it was a big like school project that you always did. I think I did mine in like 7th or 8th grade. Do you have that in Australia? Did you ever have to take care of something and treat it like a baby?
I never had to do it. Because I went to an all-boys high school, sort of in the the late 90s, very early 2000s. So still kind of things were quite a bit different back then. I don't know if other schools do it. But mine didn't like it. I never had to do it myself. So.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was an American thing or what, but it is very common in America.
I seem to think remembering maybe a couple of my friends who went to one of the girls' schools, they had like a baby thing to look after over the weekend. I think, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, I don't think it's as common over here as it is in the States.
All right. Well, I had to take care of an egg. What's crazy, though, is as I was watching this episode, I could not remember, like, I think I did have a co-parent. I think that, yeah, like they paired me up with one of the girls in class, and we were co-parents. We had an egg, but I don't remember, like, if I got an A, did it break? I remember nothing other than, yes, we did the egg thing, but I remember nothing past that, which is crazy. I would think I would remember. But anyway, so they took this thing, and there are a lot of sitcoms that usually do an episode about this same thing. But now Batman's doing it. So it is time for that in Terry McGinnis's, and he called it Family Studies class. I've never heard of Family Studies class. Like I said, for me, it was like health class. But it's the egg. And what they did is they sort of combined the egg with those high-tech dolls that actually cry and stuff that you need to take care of, and they made it an Eggbaby that you have to take care of and you have to rock and it cries and all that stuff. So Terry gets matched up with Blaze or Blade. I can't remember.
Yeah, neither can I. Something like that.
All right, well, the popular girl at school who has no interest in taking care of an Eggbaby. So Terry desperately needs an A, and so he is babysitting this Eggbaby. At the same time, Ma Mayhem, she is a criminal in Gotham. She is doing all of these jewel robberies, and she is trying to collect all of these specific rubies throughout Gotham. So Terry, as Batman, spends, days pursuing Ma Mayhem and her two sons, but at the same time having to deal with this Eggbaby and trying to keep it safe, keep it from crying, so he can get his A. And many hijinks ensue, but eventually he's able to make it happen. There's a certain point where Ma Mayhem and her sons, they accidentally kidnap the Eggbaby because he left it in their truck, not realizing it was their truck. So then he has to go back and save the Eggbaby while still stopping Ma Mayhem. But the good news is at the end, he gets an A because not only did he take care of it, he also gave it enrichment, like made its life more interesting and exciting. So he got his A, and that's the Eggbaby. So Brendan, this is a very divisive episode, I guess, for Batman Beyond fans, but not with the Emmy Award judges. They liked it. So I'm interested to hear where you fall on the Eggbaby.
I liked it. I thought it was good. I will say it's the most Paul Dini episode to not be written by Paul Dini. Just like all aspects, like the premise, the humor, the style of villains that we used. I mean, it was all Dini. I am just amazed his name wasn't on there somewhere. But yeah, I liked the premise. I mean, if you're gonna have a Batman who is a high school student, it kind of makes sense to lean into the high school student, like the high school aspect of it. I mean, there was some humor in there that was really cool. I mean, Bruce, when he realized what it was, and Terry saying that it could stay with you, and Bruce just he doesn't say anything, he just gives him that look, which made me laugh a lot. I mean, even the villains were kind of crap, but they were actually very Batman 66 villains, I thought. But it's not really about them, this episode. The villains are sort of secondary. It is about Terry and the baby. I will say my one disappointment with it, and it's something I've mentioned a lot with this show, is how abruptly it ends. I would have really liked to have seen, and I just double-checked on IMDb, it was Blade is the name of the girl who he was meant to be co-parenting with and everything. Like when they got the marks in class, because she screwed Terry over. Like, she was more interested in... Yeah. The irony is that she was less interested in the baby, but the activity she was taking part in, she'd probably be... she's more likely to get the real thing before Terry. But yeah, like the fact that I would have liked the teacher to point out that, there was something with the electronics of it that we know that it was only Terry who really took care of the baby. So Terry gets an A, you get an F. So there's, pardon me. So there's some sort of comeuppance for her just palming the baby off on Terry. Like, it would have only taken an extra 5 seconds. Yeah. But again, it just ends really abruptly, and I was like, oh, that's, she's going to get an A as well, and she did nothing, which is a little unfair. So I appreciate that you're that invested in Terry's grades and the fairness of the grades. Well, because they made such a point of her kind of being a bit of a bitch. And just kind of throwing everything at Terry and her not caring. So it's like, well, why should she get an A? I know. It's just a bit of a lesson in there that could have been, for kids that were watching it back in the year 2000. But look, I'd never heard, when you and Jay were talking about the infamous Eggbaby episode, I was like, I have no friggin' idea what you're talking about. So for me, someone who doesn't like this show, I don't know why this would be divisive, because I had a really good time with it, and I thought it was really good, and it made me laugh. I was never bored through it. It was really entertaining. What's funny is when Batman Beyond came out on DVD, I did try to do a complete rewatch of the series, and I sort of lost my way somewhere in season 2. But it was shortly after this, because when I think back, there aren't many episodes I remember, but this is one. The image of him, sort of stuck to the wall, but with a backpack and an Eggbaby in the backpack. That image was, burned into my head. And I was like, oh, God, I don't remember a lot of Batman Beyond episodes, but I remember this Batman Beyond episode. So it was funny when it finally came up again. And I'm with you. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's divisive because it's just a little goofier than Batman Beyond usually gets. Sometimes when Batman Beyond gets goofy, it's inadvertently so. It doesn't mean to be.
Whereas this
Yeah.
one, it's on purpose. Like, it knows what it's doing, and it's really entertaining. It shouldn't work, but it does work. Like, taking a sitcom trope like this and mashing it in with a Batman adventure, it's really fun. And at the same time, I'm with you. I loved Ma Mayhem and her two kids. I thought they were a hoot. I didn't think I would. When they first showed up, I was like, oh, I don't know about this, but I really liked them too. I thought they were really entertaining. So yeah, this is just a really fun, entertaining episode. And I respect that they took the chance, and I think that it paid off because it's really a good time.
With Ma Mayhem, when she started talking, I was like, "Is that Roseanne?" And I had to do a quick IMDb, and then when I realized it was Kathleen Freeman, like, of course. I mean, she played that character in so many movies and TV shows. Like, she was always the sort of the old, large, cranky, gunslinging mama. So it was perfect casting for her.
So I don't know who Kathleen Freeman is. So I'm doing a quick IMDb here to see who we're talking about.
Have you ever seen the Naked Gun 33 and a Third?
Yeah.
She's the mum. Like, essentially the same character.
Oh! I know exactly who this is.
Yes.
Although they chose a really weird photo on IMDb because even that didn't help. But then once I actually started looking at other photos like Blues Brothers, oh yeah. And then ironically, I just watched Inner Space and she was in that.
Yep.
As a cranky old lady, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and this is funny.
Hocus Pocus.
I was watching. Yes, she's the teacher in Hocus Pocus, right?
Yep.
And what's so funny is I just watched Inner Space last week, and then I watched this, and I went, "Oh my god!" Like, I feel like I know that voice. And then I saw the name in the credits, and I was like, "Oh no, never mind. I don't know who that is." I didn't bother looking it up, and then now that I look it up, I'm like, "Oh, of course, that lady." So
yeah, because she played
perfect.
the same character in everything.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, like, they shouldn't have worked, but they did. And I also I like the fact that she was only stealing back the rubies that were from her very first heist. That was kind of fun too.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's a good episode. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. It's a good way of mixing high school and Batman. And then there are some, like, I guess, cameos, you could say, from some of Terry's schoolmates that we've seen from the show so far. So, Blade, the Seth Green bully guy whose name escapes me as well, but also the nerdy kid who dated a robot. He gets paired up with Dana, and like, I love that he was in here again. So it was also fun to get like a little bit of continuity of like, oh yeah, I remember all these kids from previous episodes.
Andy Dick was one of the kids too.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Although at the end when they're like, oh, Terry, you're gonna be a great dad, and Dana's like, ooh, and like her ovaries start exploding, I was like, okay, relax, we're in high school.
Yeah, she was keen.
She was ready. So yeah, the Eggbaby, Emmy Award winning.
There's not many of these episodes that I would say I would go back and rewatch, but I would definitely go back and rewatch this. Like, Jess wasn't here today when I watched this, but when she comes back in a couple of days, I'll probably say, hey, you need to watch this episode. I reckon you'll think it's really funny.
Oh, wow.
And I really think she'll like it. So I really liked it.
And that little Eggbaby is so cute. I mean, it's just an egg with a face, but like there were certain things where like Batman was doing something really dangerous and the egg was just smiling or he looked surprised, and it made me giggle because just of his little face. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. The year 2002, so I mean, you're kind of still in Tamagotchi area there. And,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, Tamagotchis, Furbies, that kind of stuff. It was kind of mashing them all up.
Right. All right, cool. Well, there you go. What would you give it for a letter grade?
I'd give it an A. All
right.
Just like Terry got.
This might be the first A you've ever given.
Oh, yeah, maybe. They've been very few and far between if I've given one before.
Wow. Well, I'm with you. It's an A. I really liked it. So, the Eggbaby, guys. Check it out. It's a classic. Next one up is called Zeta. So, we'll see what that is. But anyway, thanks for following along as we rewatch Batman Beyond. And yeah, it's nice to be back in the swing of it. And thank you guys, as always, for writing in. Thank you for your patience because we didn't get to it last time. So, without further ado, let's crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all Master Wayne.
Okay, first email here is from Alvin Gross. It says, "Greetings, Bat Family. Who has the best supporting cast, Batman or Superman? With Batman, you've got Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Alfred, and Commissioner Gordon. And Superman, you've got Lois, Supergirl, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Jonathan and Martha Kent." Thanks for the message, Alvin. What do you think, Brendan? Whose supporting characters are better, I guess?
I gotta say Batman. Like, I mean, as much as I love the characters in Superman's world, I mean, you can't go past the Bat family.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's Batman.
I agree. I mean, it's a Batman show. I love Batman. I'm going to pick Batman. I love his supporting characters. You know, I love the Bat family. I love Alfred. I love Commissioner Gordon. Like, he has a great supporting cast. But I love Superman's supporting cast, too. So they're a very strong number 2. Next message is our old pal Stuart from Guernsey. It says, "Hey, this is something I've been thinking about. I was wondering, what is your favorite version of the Nightwing suit? As much as I love the Titan suit, it still doesn't look as slick as I think it does in Young Justice. That version is just perfect. Anyway, keeping it short and simple and down to the point. Hope you're doing well, Stuart." Thank you, Stuart. Always good to hear from you. Okay, Brendan, favorite version of the Nightwing suit?
Well, it's not the 70s disco-looking one, that's for sure. I think 90s, 2000s comics, like, you know, with the blue logo. I was never a huge fan of the animated series look, how it kind of had the eagle almost.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an eagle? Like, you know, that kind of...
Yeah, it like literally
it.
looks like wings.
Yeah, but yeah, I think just sort of your standard comic look, but with the blue, not the red.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the Titans one looked awesome. I mean, it's the first live-action Nightwing we've seen, so
Yeah.
I got to give that props. But yeah, just standard.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, I love Disco Nightwing, and I don't care who knows it. It's not my favorite, but I love it. And whenever it comes back in some way, I get happy. I don't like sort of the in-between. There was like Disco Nightwing, and then there's kind of the in-between, which I think you were getting at, that sort of had like the yellow, it almost looked like yellow feathers.
Yes.
That one is like, it's fine. But then when they completely redesigned it all black with the blue bird, perfect. I got to agree with you, Stuart. The way that's drawn in Young Justice is amazing, but I also do love it in Titans too. Titans is just a little more armored, and so I get why they did that, but I think that's maybe why it's not quite as slick as Young Justice. But I think I'm with you, Stuart. I think Young Justice Nightwing is awesome. Next question is from James Warney. It says, "Hey guys, I love the show. I've been listening for a few years. I want to get your thoughts on the direction the comic book shop industry is going. I've noticed, for me at least, a lot of the smaller shops I love going to before COVID are no longer open and closed for good, and it kills me. I'm hoping they can make a comeback. Have any of you had shops closed near you? Thanks, James Warney." Oh, and hashtag Pumpkin Spice Bros. Yeah, James, hell yeah. I still got another week or so left of pumpkin spice till Thanksgiving, and then it's all peppermint, baby. But anyway, so comic shops, Brendan. I don't know what the situation is there in Australia.
Well, none that I'm aware of in Brisbane anyway. There's kind of the most popular comic shop in Brisbane is one in the city called Comics Etc. They're not going anywhere. They've been there for a long time, and they're they've got quite a following. So, but there's some of the smaller ones that I know of haven't been affected by COVID. So yeah, it's kind of business as usual for the comic shops here. I can't speak for all of Australia, so I mean, I'm sure some have probably been impacted, unfortunately. But yeah, this is one where we kind of need Jamie, actually, because you and I have both been sort of digital for a long time.
And for me, it's out of necessity, because there aren't comic book shops in China, or at least none that I've ever seen. So I can't speak to that. But I love going to the comic shop when I'm home in the States. I love going, even though I go digital often. There were a few books I would still always buy physical because I liked not only supporting my local comic shop, I also like just going in there and browsing and picking up some comics. Like, there's just something about that. So I'm sure they've been hit hard by COVID, and that makes me really sad and really worried. And to your point, James, I hope they can bounce back as things get safer, because I still want to be able to have that experience of going into the comic shop and looking around and picking some stuff up. So I do hope that they've been able to weather this storm. All right, next message is from Jess. Oh no. I don't. There's no name, so sorry. M. Harridge is the email, so I don't know. It says, "Hey guys, I've been listening for the past 3 years, but it's my first time writing. My question is about Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor. What do you dislike about it, and what do you enjoy about it? Thanks a lot. Love the show. Sorry for the short email." Well, I am very grateful for the short email. M. Harridge. Next time, tell me your name, because I don't know it. But thank you for the message. So what do you think, Brendan? Good and bad about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex?
That's tricky. I like more than I dislike, but the things that I like, I think, is what the greater audience didn't like, and I understand the dislike for it, but for me it works because it's not comic book Lex Luthor, and it's not sort of the Clancy Brown Lex Luthor, which I think is the ideal version of that character. But like most things in the Zack Snyder world, they were seeds that were intended to grow, and we saw what I think was the birth of the more, like the Lex Luthor that we kind of know from the comics. But I mean, even his look and everything in that movie, it's comics accurate, because before Lex was bald, he had the long red hair and things like that. So it's a modern take on that character where, it's Lex Luthor in a Zuckerberg world, which is ironic because he played Zuckerberg. So it's kind of perfect casting in that regard. So yeah, I like it, but I do understand why others don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that we're very much on the same page. I do like it. I guess what I disliked about it is that it took the whole movie to get him to the Lex we were waiting for. I wanted that to happen earlier because, we basically got promised then, like this evolution of this Lex, and then, to see where it goes after. And then because things didn't go the way as planned, we never really got to see after. So it's mostly a frustration there. But I like how unique it was. I like the performance Jesse Eisenberg gives. He's doing something really interesting. I like how calculating he is. I kind of want to smack him, which is in a good way. Like, I want to hate Lex Luthor. So I like all those things. I like the take on him. But I just wish that he had gotten to a more comic booky Lex Luthor quicker, so we could have gotten more of that.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah. I mean, like I think we said is, like that post-credit scene in Justice League. I was like, yeah, more of this, please. More of this Lex. And, who knows what we'll get with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it's not going to be a whole movie of that Lex, that's for sure. So it's a bummer. All right, next message is from our old pal Tom Fallows. It says, hey guys, I love the podcast. We're all Batman fans and such. We have a lot of memorabilia, whether it be comics, graphic novels, statues, Funko Pops, etc. My question is this. What piece of Batman memorabilia don't you own, but you have always wanted? This can be anything expense-wise, something you missed out on, that there were only a few of them. For me, it's the Michael Keaton Hot Toys Batman, which I've always wanted, but my God, those things are expensive. Thanks for the podcast, Tom Fallows. Tom, thank you so much. Always good to hear from you. So, okay, Brendan, there's a piece of Batman memorabilia out there that you've always wanted. What would it be?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Detective 27, doesn't it?
Oh, okay.
I mean, a Batmobile would be nice. Like, I had a friend build one, and I could have gotten it if I had a lazy $200,000 lying around.
You didn't?
Sadly, I didn't at the time. No,
dude, slacker.
So I mean, there's big things like that, but I don't know. I like my signed stuff, so I'd love to have like a signed, personally signed something, say from Affleck or Keaton or something like that. That'd be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. So I like your choice of the Michael Keaton Hot Toys Batman. I think that would be rad. Mine is similar. There was this really awesome Batman 89 statue from Sideshow where he was like walking down the stairs of the Batcave. And it was beautiful, but it's so expensive, Sideshow. But man, I guess that, I was already thinking more realistically. I wasn't thinking Detective 27. I wasn't thinking that or a full-size Batmobile. I was still thinking of something more realistic. So that jumped to mind because it was really beautiful, but just so expensive that I didn't pull the trigger on it. But something else that I'd love to get my hands on, and I probably could if I looked hard enough, is I've mentioned in the past some of my favorite Batman possessions are my Batman and Robin statues from the WB store. They're beautiful. They're so cool. I love them. But they also did statues in that style of some of the villains. They definitely did Catwoman. They definitely did the Riddler. That means they had to have done the Joker. But I can't picture the Joker. But yeah, those were so cool. And now they're really sparse and probably expensive on eBay, so I've never really looked too hard to try and get them, but I'd love to get a set of those to go with my Batman and Robin and just have them all, because I love the sculpts on those. And they weren't super expensive back in the day. I just think they're harder to find now.
Yeah. I'd love to have replicas of all the cows, too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So... sorry, he brought up Funko Pops real quick. I ordered all the DC Christmas Funko Pops. You know this, right?
Yes, yeah, we talked about this in one of the last episodes.
I ordered the whole set. So Batman, Joker, Harley, Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman. And I actually had them sent to this mail forwarding service so that they would show up in China and I could put them out for Christmas my last Christmas in Beijing. So excited, right? I get the thing that says they were delivered. And I was like, that's weird. Usually when something gets delivered, I get an email going, hey, we got this thing. We're going to send it out tomorrow or whatever. I never got an email. And long story short, it got delivered to the wrong place. It got lost. I hope that whoever got it loves DC and enjoys them. They're on me. Enjoy. But they're not coming to China is my point. I was able to get a refund, but it's just not the same. So those will not be under my Christmas tree this year, and I'm so sad because it was like, I'll get to put them out for Christmas and make my apartment in Beijing feel Christmassy, and the best laid plans. Because at this point, if I were to try again, things take so long to get here that they would show up. Yeah. They might show up December 23rd if I'm lucky, but probably in January. So I'm like, damn it, like I ordered them plenty in advance. They were going to be here on time. Best laid plans. Fail.
As someone who obviously works for the postal service here, like dealing with problems like that, as you started telling the story, I knew where it was going, and I'm like, oh no. I felt so bad.
I mean, to Amazon's credit, like they were like, okay, sorry, here's a refund. So God bless them. I guess again, whoever found them, it's on me and Amazon at that point. But still, first world problems, but kind of sad.
By Christmas, does it?
Yeah, I know. But so I did order another set, but at that point I just had them send to Scotty's because I'm like, well, they won't make it here in time. So Scotty, put them in the storage unit. Thank you. God bless that guy. I owe him so big. I'm always just sending random shit to his house. So I feel so bad, but I also keep going, well, it gives him a reason to get out of the house to go to my storage unit and put this stuff in there.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm giving him errands to run. I bet he appreciates it in this COVID lockdown world.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. I just thought of that because you mentioned the Funko Pops, and I was so excited, and it did not work out. Okay, next message from Eddie Bolton. It says, hey guys, hope you're keeping well. I was having a conversation with my housemate that got me thinking. I remember watching the Dark Knight Rises trailer and becoming incredibly hyped for the film. Not that the other trailers didn't hype me up for it, but for whatever reason, this one ticked all the right boxes. It has one of my favorite Hans Zimmer pieces, and I'm not sure it's ever been released on its own. So my question, what trailer has hyped you the most for a Batman film since 1989? Thanks a million, guys, and congratulations on your engagement, Andy. Eddie from Dublin. Thank you, Eddie. I really appreciate that. That's great. It's a great question. I really like that question. So what trailer since 1989 has gotten you most hyped for a Batman film, Brendan?
Don't even need to think. It is the first full theatrical trailer for The Dark Knight. I don't think I've watched a trailer as many times as I watched that one.
Nice. I mean, God, this is surprisingly hard for me because almost all of them did.
I mean, yeah, they all do to one extent or another, but yeah, that first Dark Knight trailer, man, I mean, obviously showing how long ago it was because it came out in December 2007. So, like, I downloaded that thing. I think I still had dial-up at the time. I put it on my iPod so I could watch it all the time, and oh Christ, it would be in easily triple digits, I reckon, the amount of times I watched that from when it was released to when the movie came out the following July.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a hard time because they all pretty much, honestly, the only Batman trailer between 1989 and now that didn't get me hyped was Batman and Robin. Mm-hmm. Every other one, I was like, yeah, I can't wait. So I think the accurate answer is probably Batman Returns. I watched that one a million times. I actually rented a videotape of Curly Sue because I knew it had the Batman Returns trailer on it, and then I hooked my VCR up to another VCR so I could tape the Batman Returns off.
You did the old dubbing.
Yeah, off of the Curly Sue videotape. And so then I watched it over and over and over again, and anytime someone would come over to my house, I would also make them watch it. So... Yep.
I've done that before.
Yep. So probably that, and then probably right behind that is The Dark Knight, because yeah, like The Dark Knight, like coming off of Batman Begins and how much I love that movie and how excited I was for a new version of the Joker. Yeah, probably The Dark Knight came after that.
And it was before, like, literally a month before the tragedy with Heath and everything, so there was no stigma attached to it either at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it was just pure geeked out, like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right, next message is from Scott Anderson. He says, hey guys, thanks for scratching my Batman itch. How is there a Batman shampoo and not a conditioner Gordon? Keep up the great work, Scott Anderson. Yes. I've seen that meme too, Scott.
I mean, it was only a matter of time, I guess.
I want a Commissioner Gordon mustache shampoo.
Specifically.
I don't know what I would use it on because I'm 42 years old and I can't grow a mustache, but I'd still buy it just because. Or a mustache comb, Commissioner Gordon mustache comb.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, next message is from Franklin Gnosis. It says, hey, happy almost Thanksgiving. I wanted to write this a while back when you guys reviewed the pilot for the 1990s Flash TV show. I was a big fan of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and I'm still going back right now and watching it on DC Universe. It made me wonder if The Flash had continued and changed networks to ABC, wouldn't it have been cool if there were a crossover between these shows? I think it would have been an awesome episode seeing The Flash and Superman meet in the same universe. Anyway, I wanted to know your thoughts. Happy Thanksgiving and take care. Franklin Gnosis. P.S. In one episode of Lois and Clark, Clark mentions Gotham City, so maybe a Caped Crusader existed in that show as well. Wink, wink. Thanks, Franklin. And, all right. So, Brendan, I know you're a big Lois and Clark fan.
Love Lois and Clark.
So, what'd you think? Crossover? Do you remember the episode where he mentions Gotham City? I don't remember that.
Oh, I don't remember specifically. It's been a while since I've watched it, to be honest. I think maybe like 2011, 2012 might have been the last time I watched the series.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't surprise me because it was around that time, where, Val Kilmer mentioned Gotham in Batman Forever. So, I'm sorry, he mentioned Metropolis in Batman Forever, and I think it might have been a tit-for-tat sort of situation. But, I mean, I never watched the Flash series. I was probably just still that little bit too young for it. And I think it aired here, like it might have been later at night as well. And I was only 6 when it came out, so I sort of missed it. I have watched some of it. Like I've watched the movie length pilot and things like that. I've caught over the last couple of years. Pardon me. I mean, look, it was back in the day where shared universes weren't really a thing. But if it had been on the same network, that would have been really cool. And there's no reason why they couldn't do it. But yeah, it just kind of wasn't really the done thing back then as it is now. So yeah. Oh, it would have been amazing though. It would have been really cool. I would have been all there for it, that's for sure. Yeah,
I know. I agree. Yeah, it would be totally cool. It was just a little before that time that they couldn't, it just didn't work out, but would have been really cool. And only a few years apart, so well, 'twas not meant to be.
I will just say on record too, I love Lois and Clark. In spite of Dean Cain, and sort of the person he's shown himself to be politically the last couple of years. But I mean, he'll always be my Superman from when I was a kid. So, but yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? And I'm sorry, like I don't mean to rag on the guy, but like here's what's crazy is when Lois and Clark was on TV, there was an Entertainment Weekly issue. He did an interview. And I read the interview and I'm like, this guy seems like a real dickhead. And that was like an interview in the midst of his Superman thing. And I like read it because I loved Superman. And the interview, like, I don't remember what he said. I don't remember details. I just remember getting such a bad taste in my mouth from that interview that I've always just kind of given him the stink eye because of it. And I was like, dude, like...
But you know what's really weird too is it was like virtually 2 years ago to the day almost, like when we had he came to Brisbane for our big Supernova convention, and I've met a lot of guests at the conventions over the years, and hand on heart, he was the nicest man that I've ever met in terms of meeting someone at a convention. Like he was truly having a blast with the fans. He was self-deprecating. He was like genuinely taking time to talk to people, and he was having an absolute blast. His panel was awesome. Like, yeah, he was honest to God the nicest con celebrity that I've met, and that was only 2 years ago.
All right. Okay, next message is from CJ Higgins. It says, hey guys, two things. First, I want to throw my hat in the ring with this Disney characters as DC characters things.
Oh my god, this is still going.
It just keeps going. He says, how could you miss the obvious? Darkwing Duck, hello. He's totally Batman. They both fight crime at night and they're both detectives. I mean, let's get dangerous. Second, why and how are y'all not talking about the 4 shorts that came with Death in the Family? They're so good and so much better than what DC was promoting. I'm surprised at you, Andy, because Sergeant Rock and 3 of the Universal Monsters, it's right up your alley. The final short called Death is powerful and real. I love it. What did you think of the shorts? Your bat friend, CJ Higgins. CJ, are you behind on your listening, or did you not listen to that episode? Did you fast forward that episode?
He might be behind because he's mentioning the Disney thing.
I think he's behind in his listening. So we didn't go into great detail in the shorts on the Death in the Family episode, but I certainly mentioned it, and I know I mentioned how much I love the Sergeant Rock one because it include the Creature Commandos. So, yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely touched on.
It was touched on. I said that those shorts were actually better than the Death in the Family.
Yeah, you did.
So, CJ, catch up.
And I still haven't seen them.
Brendan, get your shit together.
I'll try.
All right, next message is from our pal Tanish. It says, hey guys, I started listening to this podcast during quarantine. It's become my favorite. I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple things. Number one, Zack Snyder implied that the Joker killed Dick Grayson and not Jason Todd. A lot of people were mad about this, but I'm fine with it. Because Snyder's Batman murders people, so there's no chance of a Red Hood arc. Batman lecturing Jason about not killing would have been hypocritical. Number two, Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot retconning Wonder Woman turning her back on mankind. Gal's even used phrases like it being a mistake and that they had to retcon it to stay true to her character. Patty Jenkins has also said that Wonder Woman would never turn her back on mankind. Personally, I love this choice. Number three, I absolutely love Man of Steel, but I've always hated Pa Kent telling young Clark maybe when he asking about if innocent people should die. That line should not belong in any superhero movie. Do I get the intent? Absolutely, but Pa Kent should have said something like, of course not. I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote that scene. Thanks for everything you do. May the Bat Force be with you, Tanishk. Thank you, Tanishk. Tanishk, I feel like every email we get from you, while I appreciate it, you really don't like Zack Snyder. It's very obvious. Because it's always somehow about you don't like the choices he made. And I get it. Not for everyone. I understand. So thoughts on these choices, Brendan. So Dick Grayson being the dead Robin. Wonder Woman may or may not have turned her back on humanity. And then Pa Kent saying maybe in Man of Steel.
I never really liked the idea that it's the Dick Grayson Robin that died, because I just, I always want there to be a possibility for a Nightwing. So yeah, I don't like that choice, but if that's what he says it is, then I guess that's what we've just got to accept. The retconning, I think, is a good idea, because I understand where he was coming from with that choice, because Wonder Woman, being so powerful, you would think that she would have shown herself before. So in terms of the story he was telling for BVS, yeah, it made sense. And I didn't have a problem with it in that movie. But given, obviously, the spin-off movies that have come from that, they're going to be telling a different story, and I'm fine with that as well. It's kind of a line of dialogue. Like, I'm not too fussed about it, but I'm glad they're going to retcon it. And as for the maybe line, I understand why it bothers people. It never really bothered me, because my take on it was the Kents they're a very idealistic version of kind of the farm Americana parents of kind of like no matter what era they're in, they're kind of that old school parents of like the 50s, you know. The thing with Man of Steel is it was taking everything to be real. It was the Nolan version of Superman where everything's played as real as possible. And you know, I hate to say it, if I was a dad and my kid was doing something that risked revealing this massive secret that could result in him being taken from me and tested and tortured and maybe killed, things like that, I'd probably say the same thing. I'm not a bad person. I'm just a realist. So I don't have a problem with it, but it's similar to what we were talking about before with Lex. Like, I do understand why it rubs people the wrong way, and I'm not going to fight with you if you do take that stance. But I think I see where they were coming from, and with going with that realism, I'd say it. I'm sorry, but I would.
Yeah. All right. So first thing, Dick Grayson, I agree with you. I did not like the idea of him being the dead Robin. I understand it from a streamlining perspective as far as like, oh, if this is a finite story, there haven't been 4 or 5 Robins. There's only been one, and that Robin is dead. I get it from that perspective of like, it's just cleaner and a little easier for everyone to understand. Like, yes, there was one Robin, he's dead now. But I also feel like it's not hard to say, well, there have been 2 Robins, one of them's still out there, and the other one died. It's not hard to do that. I do feel like now that this question was asked, like there was a quote that came out. It might have been from the Vero thing where, or it might have been one of the podcasts that Zack Snyder was doing, but he actually talked about this, and he said something about like Dick Grayson. I'm paraphrasing, but like Dick Grayson was a better Batman than Batman, and that idealism and that hope, he ended up paying for it in the end, or something like that. And I don't like that at all in saying that by believing in people and being more hopeful than Batman, you die and you deserve it. I don't like that. Not a fan of that. But anyway, look it up. I don't know if you saw that, Brendan. Did you?
No, I didn't. No.
It was something like that, where it was literally like, oh, well, yeah, Dick Grayson's not Bruce. He's more hopeful. He believes in people, and he paid the price. And I'm like, well, no, that's not good. You don't pay the price for being hopeful and heroic. So I don't like that. No, don't like it at all. Sorry. I agree with you. Is like it made a lot of sense in BVS why the line of like, oh, I turned my back on humanity 100 years ago, because there had to be a reason that when Superman showed up in Man of Steel, that nobody was like, hey, he's like that Wonder Woman lady.
Yes.
You know, or even in BVS that like they don't know about this other hero who's been running around for 100 years. Like there was a story reason to make to go, this is why no one knows who she is, because otherwise, you go, well, then why in Man of Steel did this not come up? Why in the first 2/3 of BVS did this not come up? Like, so I get why that decision was made, but then to do the Wonder Woman movie, and especially Wonder Woman 1984, like you've got to play with that, because otherwise she's not doing anything. I've not heard any of the comments that you mentioned about Patty or Gal saying that, you know, Wonder Woman would not do this. I've not seen any of that, but I get why that decision was made for BVS, and I also understand why they're kind of fudging it because of the other movies. And then the thing in Man of Steel with Pa Kent saying maybe, I agree. Like, I actually really like that scene. I like how torn Pa Kent is of like, I've got to protect my son, but my son has got to do the right thing. I just think that, yes, the writing in that scene needed a little polish to make that, I think, a little clearer, because, yeah, I think that maybe line was maybe a bit much. So I don't like the Dick Grayson thing. I understand both sides of the Wonder Woman thing, and I'm like, I kind of get the maybe thing. How about that?
That works.
All right, next message is from our pal Ron Messburger. It says, "Hey there, hope you're doing well. I'm glad you enjoy some of the off-the-wall questions. I really enjoy feeling like we learned a little bit about you all with some of them. So first, who from Marvel do you think would be a good romantic partner for Batman? And second, what is your all-time favorite breakfast cereal? Have a great week, guys." Thanks, Ron. So a Marvel character who would be a good romantic partner for Batman. That's kind of tricky. What do you think, Brendan?
I mean, I don't know any of the deep cut Marvel characters. Part of me wants to say Black Widow, but I think that one's too obvious.
Not as obvious as Black Cat.
That's true.
Who is really just Marvel's Catwoman.
Well, yeah, fair point. I don't know. Jean Grey, maybe?
I was just thinking that because she's like drawn to the dark and dangerous Wolverine. I feel like she'd also be drawn to dark and dangerous Bruce. Like, she might like the dark and dangerous Batman, and then sort of the, like, goody two-shoes Bruce, which is why she likes Cyclops.
Yeah, I think we've solved it.
So Batman is like Cyclops and Wolverine all in one package with a cooler costume.
Yeah.
And then all-time favorite breakfast cereal. That's a good question, Ron. This is the important stuff. You probably can't eat any, Brendan.
I can't eat as many as I used to, but see, we don't have. Yes, we've got like breakfast cereals over here and everything, but it's not like what it is in the States. There's not as many varieties. There's not seasonal ones and things like that. I will say, however, we've got Frosties here in Australia. But when I was in Hawaii, almost this time last year, I did buy, there were Frosties that had marshmallows in them, and I friggin' loved them. I bought a box home with me.
Are you talking about Frosted Flakes? Do you call it Frosties?
Yeah, they're called Frosties.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But of course, being America, so there was even more sugar. They had marshmallows in with the frost, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Okay, good. I mean, this is like asking my favorite child, like, breakfast cereals. Come on. Like, I'm obsessed with the Monster cereals for obvious reasons. Like, they're the best. Just like I love Halloween Crunch and I love Christmas Crunch at Christmas time. But if we're going like non-denominational breakfast cereal, my favorite, like the one I'd grab first, is Lucky Charms. It's delicious. Magically delicious. All right. All right, next message is from our pal Eric Carter. It says, "Hey, Bat Gents, I greatly enjoyed hearing Andy and Michael ponder my last question about irreplaceable collectibles. So in that spirit, I've got a follow-up, a two-part question. Which comic in your collection would you consider irreplaceable? The one that you would grab if you could only save one. And also, what comic is on your Holy Grail list that you don't have, outside of the obvious Detective 27 and Batman #1.
Shit.
Thank you so much for not only producing a wonderful show and supporting Batman, but also taking the time to engage with listeners. Keep up the good work, guys. Keep the bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Your Bat brother, Eric Carter." Thanks, Eric Carter. Always good to hear from you. So, okay. A comic from your collection. I know this answer. That you would grab if you could only grab one.
It's my Batman Adventures #12.
Yeah, right.
And second to that would be my comic adaptation of Santa Claus the movie that you gave me last Christmas.
Ah, excellent.
Which, by the way, I'm going to crack into in the next couple of weeks because I still haven't read it. I've been saving it for this Christmas season.
I'm so excited. Put on the score when you listen.
In terms of one that on my Holy Grail list that I don't have, that's tricky. because my go-to, like, note, you know, all jokes aside, would actually be Detective 27, because what Batman fan wouldn't want to own that?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'd probably want to go for, like, one of the bigger first appearances, so maybe, like, I don't know the issues and stuff, so please forgive me, but like a first appearance of Robin, or you know, that first appearance of Batgirl comic with the famous cover. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. The comic I would grab, if I could only grab one, it's actually it's an X-Men comic. It's the first appearance of Gambit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I want to say it's 266, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, I have the first appearance of Gambit, and the reason that's so special is not only because I love Gambit, but I've had to acquire it twice, because I had it, and then it disappeared from my collection, which, whatever. I was like storing my comic book collection at a friend's house, and when I got it back, that comic was missing. So still bitter. I don't blame my friend. I think it was my friend's brother.
What an asshole.
I know. And so I had to buy it again years later for much more, but I did buy it again because Gambit. So yeah, that's the one I would grab on my way out. And then, yeah, Holy Grail, I'd probably go with like first appearance of Robin, like what you said. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, because it's funny, because anything that's kind of recent era, I can just buy. I can't just go online and buy it. So it would really have to be something truly like rare, or maybe like Justice League #1. That would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Well, thanks, Eric. Good question.
He's good people.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Up next one is Julian Chan. Speaking of good dudes.
Yeah.
He says, hey, I just saw that Sly Stallone had joined the cast of the Suicide Squad. Someone on Twitter...
That's something we didn't mention. Yeah.
I know. Well, the good thing is I thought to mention it, and then I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's an email, so we'll just see what happens. So, thanks, Julian. He says, I saw Sly Stallone has joined the cast of Suicide Squad. Someone on Twitter suggested Wildcat, an ex-boxer turned superhero. What do you think? Seems perfect to me. Anyway, take care, and as always, thanks for the show. Jazzy Jules. Thanks, Julian. So, Brendan, what do you think about Sly Stallone in the Suicide Squad?
It's a big name. It's interesting. Let's just hope he does better in a DC movie than his 80s counterpart of Schwarzenegger. But I mean, yeah, the Wildcat thing would be amazing. Like, meta as all hell, but I mean, yeah, absolutely, it would be perfect casting if that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm trying to not get my hopes up for Wildcat because it's too perfect. And I feel like we would have heard something prior to this. So the other theory I heard was he could be voicing King Shark. Because we all thought Taika Waititi might be voicing King Shark, but that was never confirmed. Yeah. So the other thing I saw is maybe that's Sly. But Wildcat would be amazing. That would be my first choice. So fingers crossed.
Because it's wrapped a little while ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's just something like that you'd think would have been part of a big announcement at Fandom or something, hey?
Right. Yeah, it was weird that it came out now, which makes you think, oh, like, is it a voice thing? Like, or did they just decide to keep it a secret for some reason?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, the casting crew know, so...
Yeah.
And Sly knows, so yeah.
Cool. All right, next question is from Christina Wenzel. It says, hey, Andy, and whoever is on the show on this episode.
Hey.
So I feel like this will be mentioned already, but I've got to know in case it's not. Spoilers, kinda, for the Three Jokers. So I'll try to dance around the spoilers. In the comic, what were your thoughts? On the janitor near the end that sweeps away the letter? If you're not sure what I'm referring to, the janitor is wearing a purple suit that says Fun Time Cleaners. Is this implying that there's another Joker out there, or just a nod to it being a Joker story? Bonus question, just in case you already answered the other one. If Matt Reeves is the Batman, when do you think he will add the Joker, if at all? Do you think he'll leave it for the last movie, or put it in the second like Nolan, or even touch him at all? Sorry for the long email. I love all that you do. Thanks. Thank you, Christina. So I totally missed that the janitor was wearing purple.
So did I.
So now I got to go back and look, because I totally missed that if that was the case. If that is the case, I think it might be saying there are still another Joker or more Jokers. I don't know. Like, that's interesting. I missed that.
Yeah.
As for when will Matt Reeves touch on the Joker, I feel like we've sort of mentioned this before. My hunch is that it will at least be teased in some way in the first film, and then we'll probably meet him in the second. Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I know we have answered this before. I can't remember what I said, but I think it was something similar in that I'd like to see them build to the Joker and it kind of be late in the second movie and then carry over into the third.
Yeah. Yeah, if it were up to me, that's how I would do it. I'd save Joker to the third film. I think that would be a great way to have like a big finale. I just don't know if he'll wait that long. All right, next question is from Michael Murphy. It says, hey there, do you guys think that the Snyderverse will continue on HBO Max? Do you think that we will finally get that Batfleck HBO miniseries? I keep seeing these rumors. Michael, thank you for the question. I mean, I don't even know if I see rumors. I see a lot of hopes and a lot of speculation, but I hear what you're saying. I understand the question. What do you think, Brendan? Do you think we're going to get more Snyder's DC Universe? Do you think we'll get more Batfleck?
God, I effing hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, shit, yeah, I want more Affleck as Batman.
Yeah.
I don't care how I get it, just give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said this relatively recently, is when it comes to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I guess that includes everything surrounding it, I have learned to never say never, because I still feel like all things are possible. And if Zack Snyder's Justice League premieres on HBO Max and it is this massive success and it drives viewership and it drives subscribers, I wouldn't put it past them to go, hey, let's do something else. Let's do a Justice League 2. Let's look at another option. And so who knows? Is it possible? Yes, I think it is possible. Am I counting on it? No. Taking one thing at a time right now, just looking forward to Justice League, seeing how that turns out, and we'll go from there. But if it's a big hit, it would behoove them to say, let's do more. But again, I'm still under the impression that Ben Affleck wants to use this to have closure on a role in a way that he can be proud of. That's what I think. But hey, I've been wrong before. Brendan, anything else?
Yeah. No, I just want more of it. But I do agree with what you're saying.
All right. All right, cool. We're really close. Next message here. It is from Clarence Eugene. It says, hey guys, with next year being the 20th anniversary, do you think you can do a look back at Smallville? And also, what is your favorite moment from Smallville? Wow. Okay. I can't believe 20th anniversary. Clarence.
Yep.
Clarence, don't tell me these things. I don't want to know that. Holy crap, you're right. You're so right. Wow. Yes, is the short answer. I do think that's a great idea. I think that for sure we should do the 20th anniversary of Smallville. I watched the entire run. I was in for the ups and the downs and everything in between. So, absolutely. Brendan, did you watch Smallville? I can't remember.
Yeah, we got it here in 2002. And it played for a couple of seasons, switched networks a couple of times. I lost track of it in terms of watching it on television. It was around the time Jonathan was going for, was it governor or something?
Yeah.
And he kind of got shot. Spoilers. But then a couple of Christmases ago, my good mate James bought me the box set for Christmas because he followed it all the way through as well. So I did go back in 2013 in the lead up to Man of Steel coming out and watched from the start all the way through. And I liked it. I thought it was good. I've only watched it all the way through once, so like I'm not as what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm not.
You're not as
like,
well
I'm not
versed.
well versed in it as other people are. But I do remember really liking like all the like I liked the Justice League, or what I think it was just called Justice. Like their take on the Justice League, I thought was really cool. I thought the finale was cool. I do remember Lois Lane dancing in a bikini. I remember that being very cool. It's gonna be weird going back and watching Smallville now, knowing what we know.
Yeah.
With one of the cast members in particular.
Right.
Yeah. See how that plays.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of moments that I love from Smallville, but like they're all very fuzzy because I have not done like a series rewatch, so it's all very fuzzy. So yeah, my brain goes to stuff like what Brendan mentioned, like when they had their version of the Justice League, or when they had their version of the Wonder Twins, or when they had their version
Booster
of
Gold.
What?
Booster Gold, that was cool too. When
they had Booster Gold, they had Blue Beetle. Like, I really loved towards the end when they started bringing in a lot of other DC stuff. That made me really excited. I geeked out. So yeah, like a lot of that stuff comes to mind. There was a lot of really great like Clark and Lex back and forth stuff, and I feel like there was just one moment where, I mean, it happened multiple times where like Lex is like, okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy, and then a few episodes later they'd reconcile and because the show had to keep going, but it was just one of those moments where Lex like has had enough, and it was like he's finally gonna turn. And I just remember him like walking through, I want to say it was like the hospital in slow motion, and this really cool ominous music was playing, and it was like a pop song because that's what they always did. It was a song by AFI, who I like.
Yes,
yeah,
I remember that too. Yes.
And he was like walking in slow motion while AFI played, and it was all badass. And I was like, oh, shit's about to get real. Lex has had it. So I remember that too. All right. One last message here from our pal Willis. Willis says, hey guys, besides Deathstroke, which villains do you think would have been in Ben Affleck's solo Batman film? Also, for Andy and Brendan, as fans of Santa Claus the movie, have you seen the Salkins movie The Three Musketeers and The Four Musketeers with Michael York, Raquel Welch, Faye Dunaway, Christopher Lee, and Charlton Heston? Thanks, Willis. All right, so which other villains do you think might have showed up in in Ben Affleck's Batman movie? And then, did you ever see the Salkin Three Musketeers movies?
I'll answer the Salkin question first. No. And I don't know if I want to. As for the Affleck, I mean, I obviously want to see Batman take on the Joker. That's sort of a given, but I don't know. I always, I think it was a rumor, but like I still would like to see the Affleck version of Batman be in sort of an Arkham style movie with multiple villains. Essentially he has to work his way through Arkham for whatever reason, or there could be a mass breakout or something and he's trying to round up villains. Like I'd like to see multiple, and that could include like your a Mr. Freeze, a Riddler, multiple villains is my answer. I can't really give a specific.
Yeah.
Aside from Joker.
Yeah. No, I agree. I wanted there to be like the whole rogues there in Arkham, whether it be cameos or small parts or everything. That was what I wanted, what I hoped for. But yeah, if I was going to narrow it down, of course, Riddler. I've been wanting a new Riddler forever. I would love to have seen what he did with him. But yeah, who knows what the actual plan was. But I never wanted just a straight up Batman versus Deathstroke movie because he has so many other great villains. I would have loved to have seen them incorporated too. I mean, like we talked about on the last episode, Carla Gugino as Catwoman. Like that would have been awesome. Bring her in. So yeah, I mean, they could have done anything. There were rumors that like there was going to be a big Arkham sequence, or a big chunk of the movie was going to be in Arkham, which would have allowed them to do any or all of the villains, and I would have been all for that. I think that would have been great. So to the previous question, like if Ben wants to give it another shot and HBO Max wants to let him make a miniseries, I say let him. I'll be the first one in line. That would be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go. We're done. Woo, we cleaned out the mailbox. High five from across the world. Brendan, good job.
We've just hit the 2-hour mark, too.
I know, that's the way it works. So thank you guys for writing in. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But we got to wrap this up. Brendan's got to go to bed, and I got to eat dinner. So there you go. We got very exciting plans for this Friday night. Brendan, thanks for staying up late. Certainly appreciate it.
No worries, my friend. Anytime.
Tell everyone where they can find you in case they don't know.
You can find me on Twitter @Loey007. I won't worry about plugging my podcast at the moment because they're kind of on hiatus because I'm just busy.
Yeah, dude, you got a lot going on.
BatCast is my priority, so there we go.
Damn right it is. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have all my other shows. I've got Disorder, every Disney film. Most recently, we talked about Moana, if that's of any interest. And like I said, the holiday episodes are back on Real Fans for Real Movies. So if you want some holiday cheer, go to that feed. And then, of course, why not Futurama? If you're going to watch Futurama with us, you can check that out. All the shows that are part of the network, again, you can find them rf4rm.com. But thank you for downloading this show. Thank you for joining us on Holy BatCast. It is always nice to have you. Please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com or find Holy BatCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. Again, email address for the Wayne Manor mailbox is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that'll do it. On behalf of Brendan, we'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
What's going on there? Is that a baby? You brought a baby with you?
It's not what you think, really.
Terry, is there something you need to tell me?
It's not a child. It's... Turn on your vidlink. See? It's not a real baby.
Why am I not reassured?